Welcome everyone. Today we are going to discuss about international distribution channels. The distribution channels internationally, how do they work? What is the basic concept? What is the basic meaning of distribution channels? What are the factors that are affecting the distribution channels? And what are the different types of distribution channels? What are the advantages and disadvantages of each type? We'll discuss about all these topics today. So first, what is the meaning of distribution channel? Distribution channel is a set of marketing institutions participating in the marketing activities involved in the movement or the flow of goods or services from the producer to the ultimate user. Uh, After manufacturing the products, how do they reach to the end user or the ultimate consumer? So, in between, what are the different marketing institutions that are involved? So, the set of these institutions, generally we are calling it as a distribution channel. So, in international marketing, there are two categories of distribution channels. They are channels between the nations within the country and channel within the foreign market. Maybe within the between two domestic countries also there are the different channels, and also within the foreign market also there will be like different channels. So like that there are two different categories. So the levels of distribution channels, what are the different levels of distribution channels are there? First, what is the meaning of level of distribution channel? Level of distribution channels means, as we know, we have already discussed in the class also. So the level of distribution channel, what is the meaning of level is how many intermediaries are involved in the distribution channel. So from the producer to the end user, before the product reaching to the end user from the producer, how many people are involved in the distribution channel. In this process is called as the level of distribution channel. So there are different levels of distribution channels, as you can see. Zero level distribution channels, that means there is no intermediary, no middleman. Directly we are manufacturing the products and selling to the end user. So in between there are no intermediaries. That is called as zero level channel. And another one is one level channel. Any one intermediary may involve like agents or maybe brokers or maybe like foreign exporters. So only one intermediary is involving in one level channel, and two, if there are two middlemen, like for example there is one wholesaler is there, and then it will go to the retailer. So again it will reach to the end user. That means there are two middlemen. When it comes to international marketing, after manufacturing we may sell it to the domestic exporter. Again some other import agent may get the products in the host country. So again it will reach to the end user. So there are two middlemen are involved, so it is called as two level channel. Similarly, three level channel, and there are multiple level channels. So this is about the level of distribution channels. So what is the channel that we can select? Maybe zero level channel or one level channel. What kind of channel a firm can choose depends on these factors: cost that the firm can bear, more involving the middleman means it will the firm has to bear more cost. So of course, like how much cost the firm can bear, and what is the capital requirement while starting the process of distribution, like, and also while going on, like all the time it is like the cash flow patterns are required. All the time the money is required. It is not like one time settlement. Like every time we have to manufacture and we have to send it to the consumer through these middlemen. Again cash, all the time some amount will be there on the middleman and some amount will be there with the consumers, like they have to pay to the middleman and middlemen have to pay to us. So the cash flows patterns are to be managed efficiently by the firm. when we are actually exporting to the other country. And another one is control, the controlling ability of the firm. Like when the more involving the middlemen, that means it will be like more difficult to control, right? So we have to check like our firm is able to control the middlemen or not. And character of the products, like what is the character of the product, we have to consider it also, because if it is like non-durable item, it cannot be allowed. For example, it is perishable, what will happen? Within a few days it has to be used. So when we manufacture here and we want to export this product ourselves, and we have to sell it in abroad, may not be possible. Within a short period of time it has to go there, or else the product will be damaged or spoiled. So we have to use some middlemen to make it to reach on time, right? So we have to consider what is the character of the product that we are selling. And sometimes, like the value of the product we have to consider also in the in terms of character. For example, if it is gold, for example, gold rate changes every day. Sometimes it may increase or decrease the value of that. So what we have to do is immediately we have to export it to somewhere and we have to sell it there, so that we will actually avoid a huge loss. That is the thing. And continuity, we have to maintain the continuity with the suppliers or with the middlemen. All the time we have to sell to them, and they have to take it to the consumers, and again we should be ready to sell one more products, or like one more bunch of products. So it is like a continuous process. So we have to check like whether can we maintain this continuity with the suppliers. And how to locate the middleman, how to select the middleman, and how to motivate the middleman, the channel members, right? Whoever is involving in the distribution channel, how can we locate them? Like where are they? We have to locate first, and then we have to select out of a bunch of middlemen. We have to choose any one actually appropriate, who is appropriate to our firm, right? So locating, selecting and motivating the channel members is very important. How do we locate, right? So we have to determine depending on our factors which we have discussed just now, like cost, capital, and all these things. We have to determine like according to these factors, like our controlling ability, according to our cost, according to our cash flows, according to our controlling ability, and according to all these factors, we have to determine like such kind of middlemen are available in the market or not. If so, how many middlemen are available, we have to check. The information we can collect from published directories and foreign consultants. We can sometimes, because the middlemen may be in the abroad also, so we have to consult, we have to get the information from the foreign consultants and other similar non-competing. For example, if our product is beverages, cool drinks, for example, let us take like if our product is cool drinks, we can also get the information of middlemen from other beverage manufacturers, but may not be cool drink, maybe like water bottles, because the competitors may not give us the details. So we can check the manufacturers with the similar products and non-competing similar products, sorry. And how to select the middlemen. We found too many middlemen available in the market which are actually appropriate. There are too many institutions actually who can serve us, but out of these people, which middlemen can perform efficiently, we have to check that, and we have to select the same. For that, what we have to do, how can we select? It is very important, because many of the times the middlemen are unknown, because just now we got the information, and out of them we are trying to select anyone, so they are unknown. So it is very difficult for us to select the right and appropriate middleman or the intermediary, right? How to select the middleman? There are two things which are very important. Number one, screening, how we are screening, and number two is making an agreement. So how to screen the middleman? So we have to get such information to evaluate the middleman. What kind of information is required? Number one, what is the product that they are supplying earlier, and what is the native language, because we are dealing internationally means usually there will be like number of countries with different languages. So what is the native language of that intermediary or the channel member, and what is the territory, what is the geographical space that they are covering earlier or just now what they are covering, and what is the size of the firm, what is the number of salespeople in that firm. So all this information we have to find, and by utilizing this information we can screen out and we can select one appropriate middleman. After selecting, what is the important thing is to make an agreement. It is very important to make an agreement because it is an ongoing process. In the business, everything should be predetermined. So we have to detail the agreement, and our aim is to convince the middleman to make the agreement in favor of our firm. And the agreement must spell out specific roles of the middleman, specific role of the our firm, and if anything is failed, if any process is failed, what will be the circumstances, what will be the if what is the cause and what will be the circumstance. So everything must be spelled out in the agreement itself, so later on there should be no grievances. Next one is motivating the middleman is also important. Once the agreement is done, so we have started the process of distribution. So but still we have to motivate all the time, we have to motivate the intermediaries. How can we motivate them is by providing financial rewards, of course by providing some incentives for good delivery, or maybe for increasing sales. You will also benefit them by providing a few financial rewards, and sometimes by psychological rewards like providing some foreign trips, right? Such kind of acknowledgement is also sometimes motivate them to work efficiently than what they are doing now. And continuous communication is also very important by writing letters and by providing some newsletters also, like that. All the time what we are doing is maybe sending some invoices, and every time we are trying to communicate with them, that means we are trying to increase our rapport. That is what the next point is: increase the close rapport with the supplier or the middleman. And if there is any grievance, there should be like a procedure or system for managing the grievances also. That is the important thing. So all these things will help the organization or firm to motivate the channel members all the time, so that both the middleman and the firm can also be benefited. So this is the way of selecting and all the time maintaining this middleman: locating, selecting, and motivating. All these things are about the managing of distribution channel or channel members. Next, what are the different types of distribution channels? Basically, there are two types of distribution channels: direct marketing, indirect marketing. Direct marketing means directly marketing means what we are doing is we are marketing the goods directly to foreign buyers by the manufacturer himself or through his agents located abroad. Maybe sometimes the manufacturer, like for example, if we are manufacturing, we will sell it directly to the foreign consumers, or maybe our agent who is located who is located in abroad, he will actually sell it to the end user. He will make the product to reach to the end user. So however, he is our employee, so that this directly we are doing all this process of reaching the product from the manufacturer to the end user. So it is direct marketing. It is sometimes also known as manufacturer exports, because the manufacturer is exporting, so it is called as manufacturer exporters. But here the thing is, the degree of risk is high. High risk is involved in this direct marketing. So the direct marketing may go by any of these forms. The first way of following this or implementing this direct marketing is build our own export department within our organization. Separately, there is a department only who deals with exports. or that means actually that is separate export department. Sometimes what we will do is one of our departments will also work for exports, that is a built-in export department, or sometimes maybe a separate export department will be there. Sometimes, like if what we will do is we will establish one more subsidiary company, as our company will be the parent company. Our subsidiary company will work for exports of our organized products. Sometimes may also be of other companies products also. And allied export selling company, sometimes we will make an agreement with some other company also, and combinedly we will export our products to the host country. So like that, whatever the way, directly we are involving, directly the firm is involving in the distribution channel, so we are calling it as direct marketing. So what are the advantages of direct marketing? Number one is we are using the first hand information. What kind of information we are using here? What are the different who are the customers, what are the taste and preference of the customers? Everything we are collecting directly, because we are distributing, we are actually reaching to the customers. So every information actually we can collect ourselves. So that is why we are calling it as first hand information. That is why there is no chance of misleading. So that is the advantage. Another one is direct control. We are not depending on any others directly. We are actually maintaining a department, or maybe we are actually uh, have one more allied company, or maybe we have one subsidiary company. Whatever the way, we are controlling it, so everything will be in our control. So there is no chance of huge loss. And export incentives directly can be benefited to the firm. If any sometimes, many of the times, the government provides for many products, if we export such kind of products. So such incentives, if we are using some other middlemen, we have to spend for them. But here what we are doing is we are directly exporting, so all the incentives will be an advantage or benefit to our firm itself. So that is the advantage. And of course, along with the manufacturing, we are also selling in abroad. That means we are dealing with multiple countries. So definitely a good reputation or the goodwill we can obtain for our company. And the prices also, because we are aware about the customers, how much they can afford. So there is no misleading information. Whatever the price can be affordable by the customers, we can fix the price and we can sell for it. So that is why the advantage is we can sell our products with higher prices. Of course, there are some disadvantages for direct marketing also. Let us see what are they. The disadvantages of direct marketing are high risk, because we are doing only one job is easy, but at the same time we are doing more than one job. So of course it will be like little bit difficult, because same time same firm is doing multiple tasks, also manufacturing here, also we are supplying, also we are selling in abroad. So like it will be high risk. And next is higher investment. So instead of instead of using some other middle, what we are doing is we are making our own department. So we have to recruit, and we have to for controlling also it is not that much easy. So of course for all this we have to invest little bit more money. And we are not specialized in exporting, we are not specialized in selling, we are specialized in manufacturing, but still we are doing all these things. That is why we are lacking this specialized expertise, and it requires a vast knowledge actually to deal with all these things. That is the disadvantage. Any firm may or may not have this vast knowledge. So without knowledge, going for doing something is risky. That is why this is the disadvantage. And dealing with all these things is not suitable for small manufacturers. So the small manufacturers may not be able to directly export the products to foreign countries. They have to depend on some other exporters. So this direct marketing is not suitable for small manufacturers. So let's move on to the second type of distribution channel, that is indirect marketing. The indirect marketing utilizes service of various types of middlemen. The manufacturer directly he does not sell it to the abroad. They directly does not sell it to the end user. He utilizes some other middleman. So there are again within indirect marketing there are three alternative channels: marketing middlemen, canalizing agencies, and cooperative organizations. So the marketing middlemen. So within the market there are few middlemen are involved. So different kinds of middlemen are there, like export merchants, those who actually work only for this export. One second. So the first one is export merchants. So the domestic based export merchants, what they will do is they will buy the products from the manufacturer and they sell in the host country, wherever in other country we have to sell. These export merchants buys from the manufacturers and they sell there. They called as export merchants. So another thing is export houses. What they will do is usually they buy the product from many small manufacturers, not only from one manufacturer. They buy from many small manufacturers. They will buy from here, they will buy from there, they will buy from another C company. So all from all these companies products, what they will do is they will sell it outside country. So they are called as export houses. Sometimes the companies like HMT, they'll have their own export subsidiaries. So and next one is trading companies. These trading companies may not only deal with exports, but also they deal with imports. They also do the imports from the other foreign countries, and they also export to the foreign countries. So such kind of middlemen are called as trading companies. And next one is export drop shippers. This is a special kind of export merchant. What they will do is, from the manufacturer, these export will sell and they will sell in the host country's manufacturer. So from the manufacturer they will sell it to the manufacturer, but from the domestic manufacturer they will buy and they will sell it to the foreign country's manufacturer. So again the foreign country's manufacturer will sell to the end users or consumers, right? Again there will be number of middlemen involved. That is why we are calling it as also indirect marketing. And next one is agents or brokers. They do not take the title of the goods. That is the difference. So they will buy the products, but it will not be like I'll give you money, but the products are still yours. If anything happens to the products, you are responsible. That means they will not buy exactly the products. What they will do is they will take from you, right, and they will give somewhere else. They are only agents. Any risk will not be actually beared by the agents. Any risk is only to the manufacturers. So that is the agents or brokers. So all these are called as marketing middlemen. So within indirect marketing, this is the first kind of indirect marketing. Second type of indirect marketing is canalizing agencies. Here the importing, exporting and everything is done through the government agencies only. Such we can take an example as State Trading Corporation of India is a government organization which is actually dealing with imports and exports. So these canalized companies or organizations or firms, these canalized firms can only deal with the products which are actually listed by the government. For example, IOCL is there, Indian Oil Corporation Limited. It has to import and or export only this crude oil, because this is the list. This is the only product listed for this canalization firm. Similarly, there are a number of government organizations are there which are dealing with these imports and exports, but they have to follow this rule. And the third type is cooperative organizations. They carry on exporting on behalf of several manufacturers, not only single manufacturer. They actually deal with many manufacturers. Again, there are two different types of cooperative organizations. One is piggyback marketing. So here the marketer actually he deals with his own his own products he supply, and also the manufacturer will buy some other manufacturers products and also sell abroad. So that is why they are called as piggyback marketing. And another one is export combinations. We actually combine with other manufacturers, other companies, those who are exporting, and with them, along with them, we can also proceed with that. So that is what we are calling it as exporting. It is more or less a formal association of independent and cooperative business firms for exporting. So we are actually cooperatively, what we are doing is we are together working for this distribution channel, right? So that is why we are calling it as export combinations. So within cooperative organizations there are two types: piggyback marketing and export combinations, right? So these are the three types of indirect marketing, right? And we have to discuss about what are the advantages of indirect marketing. Whatever we have discussed as disadvantage in direct marketing will be the advantage here, right? High risk was the disadvantage of direct marketing. So low risk is the advantage of indirect marketing, because we are dealing with different middlemen. We are not directly involving in all the process, so we can actually make our own manufacturing efficiently. And of course, once we sell it to the exporters, it's up to them, like how do they reach to the customers, right? So we do not involve in all the processes, so it is low risk to the company, and investment will also be less, because as we have discussed, if you want to do all these things on our own, it will be like a huge investment. And the suppliers are specialized, they know, they are very well in supplying the products, in distributing the products, because they are doing the only job. That is why they are specialized. That is the advantage here. And you can get the technical guidance from the suppliers or the distribution middlemen itself. And availability of imported goods, when we are exporting the products from by using this middlemen, definitely a few of them will also deal with imports also, so that if any imported goods also we can have with ease, right? And suitable for even small manufacturers also, because whatever the amount of goods produced, they can sell it to the export houses, so that they can sell it to the abroad. What are the disadvantages? We are using the second hand information. Someone else is actually distributing and selling it in abroad. So if the taste and preference of the customer are changed, so we have to get it from the middleman. So that is the second hand information. And lack of control, because we are not directly controlling all the processes. Sometimes, whatever the incentives provided by the government, we have to offer to the middleman itself. So we may actually lack, sometimes it will be like less, or sometimes even no export incentives for the firm. And of course we have to offer with the low prices, because we are not aware of the product customers. And excessive dependence, we have to depend more and more on the distribution middlemen. And lower profitability, because we are spending, actually we are giving our margin, we are sharing our margin with the middlemen. So of course the profitability will be less or lower, right? So these are the different types of distribution channels. I hope everything is clear about all these distribution channels, especially in terms of international marketing, right? uh, Thank you.